Even in your hometown, going to an unfamiliar area can be challenging. This is why one resident of Lima decided to first have a look at the route on Google Maps. His path went near the Bridge of Sighs, a romantic meeting place for lovers. In one of the pictures was even a couple. In the shot, there was a man stretched out on a bench, resting his head on his beloved's knees, and she tenderly bent over his face. This picture couldn't have seemed touching to the Peruvian if he hadn't recognized his wife as the woman on the bench. And so, thanks to Google Maps, he discovered that his wife had been cheating on him for at least 5 years. The woman confessed to infidelity, and the then couple divorced. Big Brother is always watching you too, make no mistake. Even if you have no idea where this phrase comes from, you can take all the measures you want to protect your data and privacy online, but you will still be tracked from space. This obviously sounds a bit paranoid. But don't worry, this feeling will only increase significantly towards the end of this video. Random discoveries on Google Maps images are small fries compared to what's going on with another project in the company. The Google Earth Virtual Globe consists of satellite imagery and aerial photography. This is on a completely different scale, providing significant opportunity. The maps let you walk around a city you've never been to. Here you can see snow-capped mountain peaks somewhere in Switzerland. In some other spot are cows grazing peacefully in lush green meadows. And then there are cannabis plantations hidden in a cornfield. A sad story for the Swiss drug farmers who grew them. In 2009, the police in the canton of Thurgau decided to use Google Earth to find the home addresses of 2 suspects. They found a dwelling surrounded by cornfields in the countryside. The police hadn't yet obtained a search warrant, but images from high up made it possible to study the area. Between the monotonous rows of corn, they noticed something completely different. And this is how they discovered a plantation with more than a ton of cannabis in Switzerland. During the operation, 16 people involved in drug trafficking were detained. Cash and other valuables in the amount of about $780,000 were seized. And this isn't even an isolated case. Google Earth helps police find cannabis plantations regularly. In 2006, a resident of Wisconsin also got caught. To be exact, he had already been detained with 8 kilograms of marijuana, amounting to approximately $63,000. But the guy was even more unlucky than that. A GPS tracker with marked coordinates had been found. The police used Google Earth to check them. And let me tell you, there was a real jackpot there waiting for them. They found several fields of cannabis at the marked points. Driving around in a car with a bag of marijuana won't work out well in Oregon either. Just 200 grams though. Be my guest. This American state is not only known for its excellent coffee and ever-present rain, but also for legalized marijuana. Every Oregon resident over the age of 21 is allowed up to 8 ounces of dried weed, which equals about 220 grams. It's also perfectly legal to grow up to 4 bushes in your very own garden. This must all be exclusively for personal medical use. But it turns out that this still is not enough for some. You can earn extra money and even brag about it when the police aren't looking. That's exactly what Curtis Croft, resident of Grants Pass, did back in 2013. A local officer overheard a 50-year-old man bragging about his harvest. The police officer requested information about whether the bragging man had a permit to grow cannabis, and also decided to inspect the man's farm using Google Earth. Although it turned out that Croft could legally grow up to 30 bushes for all family members, he was still arrested. This was due to the fact that on the satellite images, the police clearly noticed a much larger number of plants in neatly arranged rows. The anti-narcotics team conducted an aerial inspection of the site. What they saw from the helicopter allowed them to inspect Curtis Croft. It was then that he had almost 100 bushes officially counted. Looks like marijuana dealers are having quite the hard time. Before long, police officers around the world would begin to employ satellite imagery on a massive scale to search for plantations. The big thing here is that it's a completely cost-free method of detection, unlike the use of service helicopters, which is very expensive. But if you've ever used Google Maps or a globe, then you know it's not exactly the best. The pictures in these apps are not live satellite or camera feeds. Images are updated at best once every few months, and many remain unchanged for years, as in the case of the Peruvian couple. So Google Earth can really be useful only in some cases, when there's either just a fortunate coincidence or when there is no need to get exceptionally fresh images. For example, Over in Humboldt County, California, the police decided to use the app to check some GPS coordinates. This way, they'd have at least some idea of what the area was like. After all, Humboldt is literally thousands of square miles, kilometers, of hills and forests. There is no way to run the operation without helicopters. But Google Earth is a good alternative, as it's convenient, fast, silent, and free. The benefits of the application are well appreciated by various government agencies in different countries. They were even used by the California Department of Fish and Wildlife. There are cases when the tax authorities have resorted to the help of Google Earth. Specialists compared satellite images of sites and development plans. This is because some homeowners make additions to their properties but don't report them and therefore don't pay the taxes that are due. Several such violators have already received their respective fines. Google Earth data has also helped locate vehicle and plane crashes. Back in September of 2006, Marcy Randolph wanted to take some aerial photos. The single-engine aircraft was being flown by pilot William Westover. Neither he nor the 43-year-old American returned from the trip. The subsequent search for them turned out fruitless. A year later, famous traveler and billionaire Steve Fossett decided to fly around the same area on a single-engine plane. He also disappeared from the radar, and despite all attempts, it was impossible to find him as well. It wasn't until 2008 that someone still searching for Fossett noticed a small fire in the forest on satellite images. The shot was taken the day Randolph and Westover had disappeared. Ironically, the crash site of their plane helped in finding the same pictures that the American herself had wanted to take. The wreckage of Fossett's plane and its remains were also found, only by mountain hikers this time. The billionaire crashed on the eastern slopes of the Sierra Nevada near the town of Mammoth Lakes. If you think this is the creepiest thing that can be found on Google Earth, you're wrong. A man named Curtis Melvin publishes the North Korean Economy Watch. Don't be surprised though, he's a research fellow at Johns Hopkins University. Melvin often studies satellite images taken over North Korea. If you've ever heard anything about this country, then you understand why he does this. His efforts, however, are to no avail. Every now and then an American might find something on these images. After uploading fresh images again onto Google Earth, the man discovered a new POW camp. Shin Dong-hyuk, from North Korea itself, is the one who educated people on the atrocities that are happening there. He is considered to be the only person who managed to escape from such a prison. It was near Camp 14, where Hyuk was born, that Melvin found the new development. It appeared there between December 2006 and September 2011. The American has no evidence that this is a prison, but the building is strikingly similar to the already existing camps. Generally speaking, Google Earth doesn't have the most respect for military regimes and state secrets. Further proof of this was the exposure of a Chinese secret submarine base at the end of 2006. Satellite images near the city of Dalian showed the latest strategic nuclear Jin-class submarine. Experts from the U.S. intelligence service immediately took to analyzing the photos that appeared. Thus, the virtual globe is not just useful for the police. In fact, this Google application is used by practically everyone, although they may use it for completely different purposes. U.S. resident Nathan Smith decided to go out and find the wreckage of a Spanish merchant vessel. The ship was carrying gold worth about $3 billion and sank back in 1822. Smith read a book about the lost treasure and learned about the supposed location of the shipwreck. This was the Texas city of Corpus Christi. The American explored the region using Google Earth and thought he had found a treasure. When the treasure hunter went to Texas, he was disappointed. The alleged location of the wreckage with the gold turned out to be on private property. The owner did not allow any searches on his land. The case subsequently went to trial. At one point, the media even reported that the mythical Atlantis had been found on satellite images. Google prudently issued a statement that there is nothing like this on their globe. And yet Google Earth helps to make interesting and important discoveries. Arthur Hickman, a regular user, was browsing through the app one day, and among the wastelands of Western Australia, he noticed a meteorite crater. A little later, its existence was officially confirmed. Its circumference was over 850 feet, 260 meters, and its age was potentially up to 100,000 years. So Hickman became a virtual explorer and discoverer of the meteorite crater that now bears his name. But this is nothing compared to how scientists from London's Royal Botanic Gardens, Kew, utilized the app service. They organized a virtual expedition through the forests of Mount Mabu in Mozambique. This is one of the last unexplored places on the planet. On the satellite photos, experts were able to find many previously unknown species of plants and even animals. And in Wales, a full-blown diving expedition was sent after various findings in Google Earth. While shooting from an aircraft flying over the Typhi River, strange underwater outlines became apparent. Divers went down there and found a stone structure built at the bottom. It turned out that the 850-foot, 260-meter structure was intended for catching fish and had been created about 1,000 years ago. Google Earth can sometimes even help you create your own business. Some timely aerial shots were made of the tiny island of Legalized, just off the Croatian coast. It turned out that the shape makes an almost perfect heart. This discovery might have gone unnoticed had it not happened on the eve of Valentine's Day. Legalized was immediately dubbed the Lover's Island. Oh, the things we do for love. And so, the resourceful owner of this desert patch of land helped couples enjoy some excitement. He organized boat trips around the island for everyone. The couples got a romantic adventure, and he got some extra income. Have you ever noticed anything unusual or interesting on virtual maps before? Share your stories in the comments below, but remember, Big Brother is watching you.